My fiancé called me selfish for wanting a honeymoon without his kids, so I returned the ring and left. He started guilt-tripping me, but I had enough of his BS. I 28F have been in a relationship with my fiancé, Tyler 42M, for the last 4 years. He has 2 kids from previous marriage, 8-year-old boy and 11-year-old girl. His wife passed away when his youngest was 1 year old. He met me 3 years later. His kids are wonderful and lovely, and we get along great. We live together. I do everything for them since Tyler works long hours. They call me mom, but they are aware who their real mom is. We have her pictures in their rooms, and Tyler talks about her to them all the time. We are planning our wedding. My father offered his condo in Hawaii to us so we can enjoy our honeymoon there. It was a very kind and generous offer. When I told Tyler, he was so grateful. Then he said, "I bet kids will have a blast." I looked at him in disbelief and said, "Kids?" He said yes. I said, "That's our honeymoon. I don't want to be a mom on my honeymoon. We can go on plenty of family trips later, but this is our honeymoon." He said, "I was honest with you from day one. I told you I'm a package deal. You can't just choose me, not my kids." I told him I understand, but can they stay with your mom for 1 week? Just for our honeymoon. He got very frustrated and said he couldn't believe how insensitive and selfish I was being. Added later. Okay, I said I won't reply because I was emotional. I went for a long bath, I'm off today. I'm better now. I was into him. I pursued him. I thought he was younger. He told me about his real age, his kids, his late wife from the first moment. He even said he would understand if I say no. I loved him. I loved how honest, kind, caring he was. 2. Do I feel loved after giving him BJ? Yes, I do. He has higher sex drive, so I just give him oral when he wants sex. Yes, he kisses me every time afterwards. He cuddles until we go to sleep. I take care of myself later, mostly during my morning showers. No, he never pulled his G at me. He is not a violent man. Lately we have had more quickies, mostly because I'm very tired, but I don't like to turn him down. 3. We don't have alone time or date nights. True? But it doesn't mean he doesn't say he loves me or he is not affectionate. 4. I decided to cancel everything. I don't think he is ready and we need to have serious talk. I also need to know if he even can have kids or he had a vasectomy. Either way, we are not ready to be married. Update. Thank you very much for all the private messages and comments. I'm so glad I posted here. So many of you suspected that he has had vasectomy. Well, I decided to have a serious discussion with him about everything last night. He said he has never cheated on me and he never will. I asked him if he had vasectomy and for F's sake just tell me. He didn't even deny it. He said, "Yeah, but you gotta understand, I lost my wife when my youngest was an infant. It was such a traumatic time for me. I wanted to make sure I'll never go through it again." I started crying. I asked him how could he lie to me all these years. He didn't even feel bad. He said, "Well, you never asked. You asked now and I told you. Plus, what's the big deal? I have frozen sperm in the clinic and it's a reversible procedure." I was floored. "You saw me taking pills yet you didn't mention?" He said, "Well, I thought you were taking pills because you have heavy period." I couldn't believe this man still blames me when he was the one lying in my face. I told him how unhappy I am, how burned out I am, and he uses his work hours so he can dump the responsibilities on me, and I don't even feel loved anymore. I gave him his ring back and told him I was done. He was shocked. At first he thought I was kidding, then he saw me packing my clothes at 11 p.m., so he started arguing that I should just wait a little longer so by December he will know about his job. After that we will go to a fertility clinic and you will have your stupid baby. Then he started guilt-tripping me, saying stuff like his kids have already been traumatized once, how could I be so selfish and leave them? I didn't even bother answering. I left for my parents' place. He has been begging and saying he will change, he will be more involved, and asking me to come back. "You are their mom, come back, we miss you." I'm mentally exhausted. I can't believe I have been so stupid. I'm gonna start finding a place for myself near my work. Thank you. Update 2. I left my ex because he was lying to me and treating me like garbage, as I mentioned in another post. We were together for 4 years, and I did everything for his 2 kids because their bio mom passed away 7 years ago. I went back to pack my stuff and his daughter said her dad told her that I left because I couldn't stand them anymore and he chose them over me. I was floored. I asked my ex, and he in front of the kids said that he was just telling them the truth. He said you wanted a baby because my kids were too much for you. You hated my kids. Remember, you even wanted to exclude them from our trip. He meant honeymoon. He wanted to bring his kids to our freaking honeymoon for F's sake. I told the kids that's not true and tried to explain, but both kids cried and went to their rooms. My ex screamed happy now. GTFO of my house. I know I shouldn't care, but after 4 years of doing everything for them, this is what I get. I'm so mad at him. My husband went no contact with his mother years ago, so I invited her over as a surprise. He was furious and kicked me out. Now he's considering divorce. I'm such a massive dork. How can I fix this? I preface this by saying I think I screwed up massively. Hubby and I have been married for 6 years now. He's always been the fun guy, always laughing and making me laugh, always seeing the bright side of things. However, one thing that bothered me was that I never knew much of his family. His father passed away when he was little, and he has little relationship with his mom. I'll keep this short. 4 months ago, I looked up his mom on social media and found her. I sent a message, and she replied. We chatted and met up. She doesn't live far from us. She knew all about me and her son because she kept an eye on him on social. We became friends, and I filled her in with details about our lives. I asked her why hubby went no contact with her. She refused to tell me why if hubby didn't tell me, just said it was all her fault, and she's ashamed of it. I proposed to try what I could to help them reconcile, and she agreed even if she was reluctant at first. In the following weeks I tried talking to hubby about his mother, and what happened between them. He always changed topic or shut me down. When mother-in-law asked me how it was going, I told her things were progressing and I was working on it. Last week I decided to try and have them meet up so maybe we could spend Easter together. I invited mother-in-law over before my husband would be back from work so we could surprise. She was a bit unsure about this. She said she wasn't comfortable surprising him like that, but I reassured her. I thought that any emotion hubby could have would be better cooled by a hug. Spoiler alert, mother-in-law was right. Hubby came home, and after the initial shock started yelling like I never heard him to her to get out immediately. She just grabbed her coat and stormed out. Afterwards, hubby told me to get out too when I explained what I had done. He didn't yell at me, but his voice was cold and almost emotionless. I've been staying at my sister's since. Hubby won't take my calls. Mother-in-law cried on the phone and asked why I lied like that and never talked to my hubby and prepared him for that. Now she stopped taking my calls as well. I know I have screwed up big time, and I see now what a massive dork I've been. How can I fix this? I want to apologize to hubby for what I did and maybe find out why his mom is unalive to him. Update 1. The last weeks have been rough, but we might be okay. Hubby opened up about the reason he cut off his mother, and many of you were right, it was SA. Not from his mother, but his stepfather. They were engaged and his mom was pregnant with his child when the guy started giving my husband attentions. Husband went to his mom, but she shut him down, accusing him of being jealous and wanting to spoil her happiness. This went on until his mother came home from work unexpectedly and walked in on the guy giving attention to my husband. She kicked him out, pressed charges, and annulled their engagement. But the damage was done and my husband no longer trusted her. She also lost the baby due to stress, and although she never blamed my husband for it, he felt it was his fault. All this felt like a gut punch for me, first for what he went through, and then because now I am the person who shattered his trust. He said he did consider divorce over this, but pretty bluntly said that he thinks my actions were out of stupidity rather than malice, and he wants to work things out. I am committed to do my best to become a better and safe partner for him. I know I have this stupid and selfish tendency to think that I often know better than him, but I have to get over it because it hurt him massively and almost imploded our relationship. I don't want to be another person he trusted and ended up hurting him. He also decided to reach out to his mom and start talking to her again. He's not sure they can repair the relationship, but he wants for both of them to find some closure. Update 2. Hello everyone. My husband is doing better and our relationship is slowly getting back to what it was. I know it will take a lot of time to repair the damage I caused, but I am willing to give him all the time he wants and do anything he asks out of me. The bitter irony of this whole story is that he told me he had been thinking about reaching out to his mother, but on his terms and time. By going behind his back, I almost destroyed that chance of reconciliation and imploded our marriage. I am working on myself and will start seeing a therapist next month, so I never do something like that ever again, and more importantly, never betray his trust ever again. Also, with my husband's knowledge and consent, I apologize to mother-in-law for leading her on with false promises, and she has forgiven me. As for him and mother-in-law, they started talking to each other, have met a couple of times in public, and yesterday my husband invited her over for dinner, so that in his words we all can try to start over properly. She's a very sweet woman, and she's eager to reconcile with him and get to know me. My husband said that for now he wants for all of us to get a bit used to each other. Then he and mother-in-law will get to work on their traumas, his words. He says she's not the villain in what happened, but he needs to come to terms with her poor decisions and his own feelings of guilt for her losing her baby. Mother-in-law, on the other hand, is very apologetic and extremely sorry about what happened, in my husband's opinion, sincerely so, and doesn't blame him at all for the miscarriage. As for me, I just sit aside and do my best to rebuild the trust with my husband and become a better and safe partner. He started being affectionate with me again, and we are no longer on thin ice. But I can't stop thinking I almost lost him because I thought I knew better than him.